do you think the value of a languages degree actually is?
I mean, I think it's something that employers always love, and regardless, I think whenever I've sort of been to an interview, even if the job doesn't necessarily say French speaking on it, it's something that's always really important. And I've never worked in a job, even when I've sort of been UK based, where at some point somebody hasn't gone, well, you speak Spanish, don't you? Or you speak French, because they've got translation, or, I mean, so I work in advertising, and so it's always working with companies where they want to open up more markets. So I think that's kind of the value. Like your world is a bit bigger than if you were just sort of doing business in the UK. You can add that extra bow then to your skill set, I think. And I think employers, like particularly I can only talk from sort of marketing, advertising kind of side of things. But I think it's always something where they think, this person could come in and not only manage maybe some of the UK stuff, but also there's potential there for us to go further and make more money and kind of and make our brand bigger. So I think it kind of opens doors for you, whether or not you think to begin with that job is specifically language focused or not.
Okay, so it's not necessarily something that has been essential in what you've been doing, but it's definitely opened doors.
Definitely.
And
yeah.
I liked what you said. It kind of gives you a bit of like a wider
I think
vision.
So. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Daniel, so you are working in you've been working all over the world in consultancy, helping companies, and countries kind of invest in different areas.
Yeah.
And I suppose using your languages in that, but what do you think is the value of a languages degree?
Well, I concur with Megan in that it's definitely something that employers welcome. It's always a bonus whenever you're looking to take on a new job. It's almost twofold, my story, in that I wanted to do a master's after doing my French degree in Paris, and I was very much interested in EU, European affairs, European politics. So at that stage, a language was a prerequisite because the course that I was doing in Poland was in English and French, so I continued almost that language usage, as it were. And then it kind of died off for the first few years. I moved into policy advocacy and communications in Eastern Europe primarily. I was living in Hungary for a year and a half. And yeah, my language skills weren't really required in those early days, but as I moved on to through my career, 5-6 years into my career, still at that stage in communications consulting, the language skills came out of the woodwork, as it were, and it became increasingly useful whether I was working with colleagues on a new business assignment or a client assignment in Paris or Brussels. More recently, when I moved to Indonesia to establish the EU's representative office in the Indonesian Board of Investment, two of the countries that I was working with most frequently, and by countries I mean the embassies in Indonesia were the embassies of France and Belgium. Mm-hmm. So I was working with those officers in French on a daily basis. I was working with investors, business delegations, politicians who would come. So really, it's one of those things that immediately it didn't have an immediate application in my career, mm-hmm. but it became and remains very, very useful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Miriam, over to you. So, what do you think? You've graduated quite recently, in 2015, and was then working abroad in Ibiza for a while. Mm-hmm. Now doing a lot of freelancing.
Yeah.
What do you think is the value of a languages degree since you've left?
Well, obviously my experience is quite different.
Yeah.
I started in the music industry, and I've never had a formal job interview because in the music industry everything is networking based. So, but I would say for me, the French degree has been such a great conversation starter. I've got so many funny analogies from my year abroad, and I've had so many, or just kind of like I can complain about Paris, and I met people in Paris who were in dance music who've ended up introducing me to clients since I've gone freelance as well. But I just think cultural understanding is massively underestimated. And second of all, I would say really, really boring, but being able to look at language critically has been so good, because I do freelance copywriting as well. And it's just amazing how many people don't understand grammar at all. So that's quite handy too.
Okay, so it seems like it's opened up doors for you so far in terms of your network and getting business that you wouldn't otherwise have been open to. So would they have spoken in English, like these dance music acts?
We speak in French and English, but I think it's really, really appreciated having the language.
Right.
And also, I like they send me their interview answers in French, and I just translate them for the journalists.
Right.
So I can charge extra for that. So yeah, you know, it's not massive, but every little helps.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then Brandon, you have, I guess you left in 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're working in in Ruby Pseudo Consultancy, which is like a market research agency.
Yeah.
We'll go into all of our panelists' jobs in a bit more detail next. But I'm just interested in your view, because your agency works not only in the UK, but is all about looking outward and understanding international consumers. What's the value of a languages degree today?
The language degree for me was, I always wanted to do a language degree from a young age. And it was because it was opening a new culture to me. It was able for me to see what culture looks like. You don't just learn the language, you learn the books, you learn the literature, you learn the philosophy, you learn the theories. It's a lot more than just the language that you speak every day. And you learn a different mindset, you learn different things, you learn the different mannerisms that a French person will have to what an English person has. We did a project with Tinder researching, and it was about romance and dating in France and in the UK. And the differences in dating in France is so incredible to how it is in the UK. In the UK, you go out, you get hammered. You go go to a pub, you get really drunk. In France, it's like, oh, we'll go for a coffee and see how it is. And it's like just those two very different things of where you go for your first date, and that's why I did a language degree. And it's really important because you mix with so many different people, you have to spend a year abroad. You have to go then put yourself in a completely different space where you've never been before. And then you come back, you finish, and then you're in the world, and you've got so much more skills than you do with other degrees where you're stuck in one place for 3 years. You've got 4 years to really push yourself further. And that's why I did a language degree. And I think that's why it's really important today.
Yeah, thanks.